All right, Don, we are recording. What's going on?
Okay, welcome all the new people and feel free to ask those questions. Most of you, if you really want a treat, visit somebody close to you that has a commercial bee yard, if they'll let you go in there. I know E has had a total experience walking through a yard. It overwhelms you right off. And then working with somebody that has experience. I'm splitting hives off faster than I have 2 or 3 students can move them to stands. So if you get a chance, that's what you want to do if you're thinking about going into business. And if you're thinking about going into business, even offer to work for somebody for free to get an idea. It's totally different than bee clubs or anything that's, around. And the thing about a commercial operation is David can tell you, rain or shine, you are working in the bee yard. And it was pouring today, all day. And I just came in. Greg is outside, and he's taking a load of bees back. And rain or shine, we was out there getting nukes boxed up to go to Ohio and all the different states that he's visiting. So I'm going to get right to let people ask questions because I know there's a lot of people out there that want to ask questions. No matter what you think of it, you think it's dumb, stupid, or what, ask it. Then you'll get an answer.
Okay, first up is Chris. Go ahead, Chris.
Hello, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Hi, I've got a question here. I've noticed an uncapped queen cell like three days ago, which I think is going to be capped today or tomorrow. Today was a bit cold, like 41 Fahrenheit, so I didn't go in to check it. I think tomorrow is going to be a bit warmer, so I'm going to go in and make a split. Just wanted to little details when I can add the queen cell to the split.
Did you do a walkaway type split, or are the bees crowded and they're making a split? They're making queen cells.
Yeah, there was that one uncapped queen cell. There was something laid in it. You could see the royal jelly inside. So I'm just gonna wait until. I couldn't see. It was like behind the bar. I couldn't see it properly, but there was a jelly inside. So I'm assuming there was.
Sometimes you have 2 or 3 cells. It looked like a queen cell. They'll be 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch long, and they just have royal jelly in them. Okay.
Okay, so do they put the royal jelly in before the egg gets laid in?
They'll put it in the cell no matter where it is on that frame.
Yeah.
Springtime, usually going to get at least a 6 cups got royal jelly in them.
I see.
Are you trying to make splits, or are you not?
Yeah, I want to make splits.
Well, I wouldn't try moving the frame until it's capped. Are you going to cut the cell or move the whole frame?
I think I can move the whole frame. There was some brood on it as well that can have.
Well, make sure when you move it, then you close them bees up, keep them in there, because the old bees are going to fly back to the parent hive.
Mm-hmm.
And if you got cool nights where you live, if it gets down below 55, the cells ain't going to be no good.
Yeah, this next week's going to be probably around that threshold.
They probably won't be a good queen if they do anything with them.
I see. So what should I do? Just leave it there?
Just leave it there and see what happens. Sometimes they'll tear it down if there's, it gets chilled.
Well, okay. So tomorrow, if I see it's capped, then I can make a split.
I wouldn't make a split if you got temperatures that's going to drop below 55, because you're going to have a lot less bees in there.
Yeah. To keep it warm, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. So, and what if it hatches? Then it's a bit.
They won't hatch until they're sealed up, and then they start thinning out on the end. If it's open and you see royal jelly, it's going to be at least 3 to 4 days before they even cap it.
Yeah. Okay. So just wait a few more days to see what's happening.
Okay. Now, if you got other people on that same subject now, queen cells, if you have a frame and you got 4 or 5 cells at the bottom and you got a couple in the middle and a couple at the top, when you pull that frame out, the first thing, look at the cells. If there's no bees on them, and the temperature's been cool at night, those cells are no good. So don't, make plans to, have a good nuke, because that won't. If the bees are on it, they keep it moist, they keep it warm, they keep it cool, whatever the situation is. But if there's no bees on it, it's already going through a chill, and they're just going to abandon it. Only cut the cells or use the cells that our bees are on it.
Okay. So in general, then, if it was going to be warm enough, and I did see a bees on the queen cup on the capped cell, so when I make a split, do I have to wait a certain time period until I can add?
A cell that's sealed and you got bees on it, it don't take many bees to keep it warm.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay.
Thanks for now.
Okay.
Okay, over to Paul. Go ahead, Paul.
Don, what kind of mite treatment would you recommend for a newly installed package? I put them in about 3 weeks ago.
If you got a package, more than likely the packages was treated, or the hives that they shook them out of is treated. I wouldn't worry about them until after the 3rd or 4th week. As soon as the brood starts getting capped and starts to come out, then if you think you got mites, then I would treat them. But check, see if you do got mites. You don't want to take medicine if you're not sick.
Yeah, well, they're 3 weeks in now, so I treated them today.
Well, at 3 weeks, you should have barely any bees starting to hatch.
Yeah, there's plenty of cap brood in there.
Well, you're not going to treat cap brood.
Yeah.
So all you're treating is the surface bees, the ones that's walking.
So now, when do you think is a good time to treat them? Should I wait till the fall after our honey flow?
Do you want to buy bees again?
No.
Then treat the bees.
The only thing what I'm confused about is our honey flow is pretty much all summer long here in New York.
So why ain't you treating with oxalic acid?
I know, but would you recommend pulling all of the supers off and then treating them?
No. You more than likely eat enough oxalic acid and vegetables than you're putting in that hive.
All right.
Okay? Anything that's even capped honey, it ain't going to penetrate the cells. That's why they say if you got open brood to treat it, if you got sealed brood, it's not treating. You have to retreat.
Yeah. All right.
I think you worry too much about the wrong thing. We don't want to be losing bees, so we're going to treat September all the way up into January at least 3 times a month. At least 3 times.
Yeah.
Or if you don't want to treat, then make a lot of splits. You got to break that mite cycle one way or the other.
No, I know. I don't want to run into the same problem I did last year, so I want to be on top of it.
Yeah. And also you got to treat for beetles.
Yeah.
Tom was down here and they was counting beetles all day down here, and I'm under the shade trees.
Do you guys want to know how many hive beetles he has in, say, 100 hives? We counted. I think we were up to 12. 12 whole beetles.
Well, I tell you, I really don't have a problem with beetles. I mean, I have them. I'm not going to say I don't have them, but the hives aren't overrun with them.
Well, here's the point that we're trying to make. If you put your bees in a pine thicket under the trees and there's not a lot of sunlight, you're going to be ate up with beetles. That's what people tell you, right? I'm in a thicket. They was in a thicket, and I let them work in the open out there, and they said it was too hot.
Yeah.
And see, if you come down here, take a class, you're going to be lucky, because if you buy queens, I let you catch them. You know why you do that? You don't call me up and say, Don, these queens are dead. Somebody must have pinched them.
Yep.
That's how I get people to paint my fence.
So, E, be honest. How many times did you get stung?
Me?
0?
0.
They wore shorts.
T-shirt and shorts, not one sting.
Wow.
I think Tom got 1 or 2 when he was trying to catch the queens, I think. I don't know where Tom is. He's here somewhere. But yeah, very gentle bees. I was very surprised. Just working them, t-shirt and shorts. That's it. Tiny, tiny little bit of smoke. I think that's what the problem is with a lot of beekeepers is they over smoke them, and then that gets them even more pissed off and into a defensive mood right away. So it's almost just less than a breath of air on them full of smoke, and that's it.
When you come here, I'm going to teach you how to smoke bees. And you don't smoke them like most people do. Use very little smoke.
Mhm.
Well, I tell you, I notice like if I go and reach into the hive to pull a frame out, I always got like 5 or 10 bees coming up at me.
You know why? You move your hands too fast.
But he's from New York.
Right. You can't talk with your hands over the bees.
All right. All right, thanks, Don. That's all I have.
All right.
To answer your question, Paul, real quick, my stings were when I was transferring frames for a nuke that was being picked up. That was the only time I got stung up there, or down there.
Mhm.
So,
All right. Well, you know, Tom, I saw you were the one doing all of the work. I never saw
Yeah,
you doing
yeah.
anything.
he stood there with the phone.
I had to make videos for everybody.
Well, he kept away from the bees, so he didn't get stung.
Tom actually loaded nukes for customers. So if you take a commercial course here, I'm going to have you load the customer's box with a nuke. And you're going to look at it. If you don't look like it's a good nuke to yourself, if you didn't want to buy it, then don't sell it to someone. So I'm trying to teach you how to manage your customers and have good results, you know, a good return on your customer base.
Yeah. All right, thank you.
Totally different, you know, in a commercial yard. I mean, just to walk through it, it overwhelms you to start with. Then if you're working the hives, it's totally different. Don't think you're going to work, you know, next to me and keep up. You're not going to do it.
Oh, I believe you 100%.
I teach you all the shortcuts, even the simpler things like using your hive tool to spread frames apart. There's so many little techniques that I'm trying to show you. Can't do anything, you know, at one time. It takes time and repeated times to build that base up. And I'm trying to do is make you a better beekeeper. I want you to sell bees. I want you to be successful.
All right, thank you, Don.
Okay.
Over to Ernest. Hang on. You're going to have to unmute it. There you go.
Okay, you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Yeah, I just want to mention to Paul, the best way is do an alcohol wash, and then you know where you have mites. And like you said, Don, you don't need to treat them if they don't need treating.
Mm-hmm.
I did mine the other day, and they had 0 mites. And I was getting ready to treat. So I'm glad I did the alcohol wash first.
Yeah.
That way,
An alcohol wash has got to be very careful. Make sure you know where your queen is, where you're taking that sample at.
yeah, well, that's a good way to get rid of an old queen.
Yep.
Yeah, I shake them off first. Then I have, you know, one of these things you get from a hospital. They always send you home with a little pan,
Mm-hmm.
and I shake them off in there, and then take a cup of them, and that way I see them before. And then when you shake them off in there, all the field bees flies away, and you got nothing but nurse bees, which is the bees really you want. They're the ones that should have the mites on. So, yeah, I've been doing my grafting this year, and it's working out good.
Good.
I got queens, and I just made, I think it's 5 or 6 splits today. And I did something the other day. I was thinking of you, Don, and you said just a little bit of bees. Well, I had a queen cell, and then I have this observational hive, and it's got a great old big funnel of bees hanging on it.
Mm-hmm.
So I took my queen cell, I got my frame of honey in there, and I went over to that and just took a stick and just raked off about a cup or 2.
Right.
So I'm anxious to see how that works.
Now you could take, in the summertime, if you want to make lots of splits without even going into the hive, You got a queen cell, you can either use a quart plastic container, cut the bottom out, and it'll be like a scoop, or use a 1 gallon container, cut the bottom out. I've had bees hanging out the front and had cells, and just go along, pick a scoop, dump them in there with a frame of honey, and close the entrance up. There's excess bees. You don't even have to open the hive. You don't have to light a smoker. You don't have to do any of that stuff. I try to do it as easy as possible.
Well, I tried something today. I had queens, and I let them walk in the front door. Well, I think 4 of them went in okay, and 1 of them flew. So I don't know where she'll come back to that hive or not.
If they're flying, then they've been hatched for a while. If you can catch them as soon as they hatch, I've let many of them walk in the door, or we got holes in the.
She had only been hatched about a day, I guess.
Too long.
Too long?
Yeah. Usually after 24 hours, they start getting pheromones built on them.
Oh, okay.
I've never had good luck after they've been about 24 hours, unless you descent them. You can smoke them real good and smoke the hive real good. Over smoke it, that way they all smell smoky. They're less likely to reject that queen then.
Yeah. Well, these bees is the ones I had in my starter hive, and I'd been in there a couple of days, so they'd already, been without a queen.
Yeah.
So I think they were ready for a queen.
Are you doing the incubator yet, or are you just taking?
Yeah, I use the incubator. That's the best way. It saves you trying to time everything and make sure one don't hatch out early or something.
Well, if you take a frame from a good, strong hive that you want to graft from, you should have all of them hatching out within 20 to 30 minutes of each other if you're pulling right out of the center of that frame. Now, you've got different ways you can do it. Steven's using thumbtacks on his and just using different color thumbtacks and then marking his cell phone when they come out. And as soon as they're capped, he pulls them out of the starter, puts them in the incubator, and then he can run 200 to 500 in that incubator.
I seen something neat the other day, and I think I'm going to make up one. A guy had a queen excluder made up with sides on it, and he put it on over a full frame, pushed it down in with the queen underneath there, and put it in a good strong hive, and that way you got every one of them is the right egg. You don't even have to look in to see what age you are.
You still have to time your cage, what day you put it in there.
Yeah, well, you only have to leave her in there. She'll lay that up probably overnight.
10, 15 minutes if you've got a good queen.
And then you can take it off and put it on another one.
Right.
You don't even have to look at them.
Yeah.
If they're the right age.
Mm-hmm.
So,
it just takes practice, like riding a bicycle. Got to practice.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you. That's all I have for now.
All right.
Okay, over to Joshua. Go ahead, Joshua.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm new here, so I just thought I'd give a little introduction. I'm Josh Linebaum, my brother here, Nate, and my friend Andrew. He's not here right now, but he's the one that kind of got me started in the bees. I think has 4 hives. Thanks, Don, for all the information. I've been listening to your videos for the last month. I think I'm almost through all your chats. So
It's a lot of information to take in.
There it is, no doubt. Anyway, so my first question is, somewhere in the chat you had mentioned already about some kind of material that you use to control beetles. I'm not sure what it's called. I can't remember what you called it. That you put in your hives that they get kind of hung up on or something?
Oh, the Swiffer sheets?
Okay. So
the Swiffer sheets is one way to do it. I mean, if you don't want to put stuff in it, basically you just get unscented Swiffer sheets.
Is that like a dryer sheet?
Yeah, dryer sheet.
Okay,
Yeah.
sure. All right. And then one other question for now. When a queen leaves to mate, does she come back to the hive like during the night, or does she stay out till she's mated?
Most of the time they return during the day, but it's possible. It depends when the queen's going out. We had a swarm come out about 2 hours ago. I didn't even go over and check on it. I was loading nukes out. I had customers here, and we got packages they was picking up. So it's little things you don't worry about.
So does she usually take some bees with her?
Well, she's going to take the bees in that particular hive, and normally she's going to bring back a whole bunch more, gathering them up. The bigger your bee yard, the bigger the swarm's going to come back. And then if you're mating a lot of queens, you might have dozens of queens in there.
Mm-hmm.
I've done videos here where there's up to 30 queens I've got in swarms.
I see. Wow. All right. Well, that's everything. for
Okay.
now.
Okay. Over to Jay. Go ahead, Jay.
Hey, good evening. Can y'all hear me okay?
Yeah, we're doing good.
Good. What about the time you think you know something, you just lose all prospect on it? I've got much of my nukes that I've built up, and then I've got the 10 frames that I did my splits out of.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been negligent getting back into my 10 frames like I need to. So I'm seeing a lot I'm seeing a lot of swarm sales,
Mm-hmm. That's a
queen
good thing.
sales. And when I'm finding them, I'm not finding eggs. I'm finding cap brood, but I'm not finding any eggs or larvae in there in several of them. And I guess I'm trying to realize what the process is as far as once
Are
they
you
start
finding
making.
queen cells that are capped?
Yes, sir.
All right. If you got wood and wax, regular wood or wax foundation, you can cut those out. But if you got wired foundation, most of the best cells will be over the wire.
Well, I'm running plastic foundation right now.
Well, then the best thing to do is build you a bunch of queen castles, 4 sections to it. You can put that in there. Now you have to check them. If you got plastic in there, you'll need to check them every 15, 20 minutes. Or if you can recognize a ripe cell, you know when it's coming out, you can check them then.
Okay.
Each time a queen hatches, you move the frame, leave the queen in the original box, just move it to another box.
Right. So I'm having a hard time finding the queens on these when I find them. And like I said, I'm not seeing any eggs in there. Has that box already swarmed? They
It's
still have
possible.
plenty of bees. They still have plenty of bees in them, but I'm just
Well,
not.
you could have a major swarm, then you could have after swarms. I've seen hive swarm 4 and 5 times afterwards.
Okay. So is she leaving the hive before the queen cells are hatching?
Sometimes they do. Sometimes they go around and kill all the cells. Bees, they got a mind of their own. I mean,
Right.
nothing's set down in stone. When you think you know it all about queen rearing, they do things every year.
Yeah. And what I'm doing, I'm pretty well taking those swarm cells out or the queen cells out, and I'm putting them in. I've got one queen castle I put them in. I put them in nukes with a frame of bees, doing things like that. But I didn't know, do I need to leave a queen cell or 2 in there?
You
if
only
I'm not
need
seeing
one queen
eggs?
cell.
Okay. So, but I do need to leave one in there if I'm not seeing any eggs or larvae.
I would. When you open the box up, are they quiet or are they noisy?
Some are and some's not. Several of the ones that I'm not seeing the eggs are noisy.
Well, you might not. You could have a virgin queen in it that hasn't mated. I don't know where you live, but if you've had a lot of rain, the temperatures ain't right, they're not going to fly out.
That's the thing. We've had some, and that's why I've neglected them so much. We've had a lot of rain.
Yeah.
We got 4 inches the other night. So it's just, by the time it starts to dry just a little bit, we get rain again.
Yeah. Well, there's part of your problem right there, if you're not going in them. If you got a bunch of cells coming off and you know they're going to come off in 24 hours, rain or shine, you got to go out and make splits. You can ask David that. He was here. He'll testify to that.
Yeah. And that's been part of my problem getting out there. I'd let the rain keep me in the house also.
It was pouring rain today, and we was out there loading boxes for customers.
Right.
David, you want to chime in there?
Yeah, Don was saying, he says, if you got customers and they want bees, and they're coming in from out of state, they're coming here, he said, it don't matter what the weather is. He said, this is a job. He said,
right.
You provide the customer with the product, rain or shine, And the splits we did out there in the rain, you know, I wouldn't have even gone in my yard that day because I just didn't never think that you could work bees in the rain. I have learned differently, and it was quite an experience. It was a good day. I've had better. I like the sun, but it was a good learning day.
You're never going to have perfect weather. If you have perfect weather, you're not going to make any money.
Right.
And if you got $5,000 worth of cells out there, are you going to worry about getting wet, or are you going to take care of business? You know,
Take care of business, yeah.
Just whatever you want to look at, you know. I mean,
Right.
I always say the rain separates the beekeepers from the bee havers.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. Mhm.
Oh, all right. One other thing. I did my splits back at the end of March.
Mhm.
I'm understanding waiting till Easter to do your splits.
Mhm.
I didn't split them heavy enough, and I've had some issues with them. I've lost several queens. I've had them remake some queens, but I've lost some complete hives too because they got chilled. So
Well,
that is important.
When you start to make splits and do it on the commercial aspect, things are totally different than just a few hives in the back.
Right.
It's like if most people, if they're running 10 frame hives, double deeps, I will go there in front of them. As long as they keep their mouth shut, I'll make 19 splits, and I can get a 95% take on everything.
And that's basically what I did. I split them, but I split them thin, but I did it too early, I think.
Well, you got to worry about the weather. 55 degrees is about the breaking point.
Yeah. Well, we'll do it different next year a little bit. We'll have a little more patience and wait a little longer before we start.
Or buy mated queens. I mean, there's another way to it, you know.
Well, that's what I did. I bought mated queens with it.
Yeah.
But again, I don't think I put enough bees in there with each one of them.
Most people buy a package and they don't think they can split that package. In 1 year, I kept record of packages. Put packages in, you can take a package and split it up to 30 times in 1 year.
Yeah.
When people tell you they can't do something, it's because they don't know how to do it. Bees do two things. They multiply and they store honey. And I don't take them down the road. I have students pick them up and move them back 5 foot, 2 foot, 1 foot, whatever. Wherever there's a space, that's where they go.
Well, I'm following you on that. I just move them wherever I can find room in my yard with it. I'm not having the percentage I want to see with my virgin queens going out and coming back in yet. But I don't know if I need more green comb in. I've got green comb in several of my hives, but I know you need to put more in there, I guess.
Are they hatching and you're not getting returns?
That's what I'm seeing.
All right. Now, if you look, Tom shot some video of my yard, how thick the trees are. I found over the years, wide open areas with a scattered amount of trees, you get less returns than you do in a real thicket. The thicker the thicket, the bees go through the trees and they have less predators chasing them.
Mine's on top of a hill with no trees around them.
And they're wide open pickings.
Yeah.
And people say bats don't get bees. Don't count on it. Bats will get them in the daytime too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I'll let somebody else step in for a little bit, but I'm having fun learning. Trying to follow you.
That's good.
Okay, over to Josh Moore. Go ahead, Josh.
Hey guys, how y'all doing? Hey Don, what's up? I was down at Don's last week and learned a lot. David Hallman was down there with me. We had a good time that day. Got a question for you, Don.
Sure.
On your oxalic, I know you keep apivar strips in some of your hives, you know, due to inspection stuff like that. But I've forgot to ask you when I was down there the other day on your oxalic acid treatments, the fogger versus the vaporizer.
Well, the vaporizer is going to do better. There's people out there that do not want to treat at all. Then there's people that want to just do it as least as possible with the least effect. So they use mineral oil in a fogger. That is a slow kill. It suffocates the mites. But if you got a heavy infestation of mites, you need to do something for a quick knockdown.
Yeah, I don't have avian infestation. I'm just preventive maintenance treatments, and I was thinking the oxalic acid and the pure grain alcohol. I didn't know how effective.
That's total waste of money and time.
Is it really? Okay.
We
So-
did 1 yard and just to test it because everything gets to be a rage out there, and it's so fast, it's so good. The biggest thing that I said, it was expensive to start to do it, and I get zero knockdown.
Right.
And people that sit there and look me in the eye and say, yeah, they're getting good kill is baloney. We did 1 yard, mite counts almost tripled in 2 weeks.
So you're saying if because I've actually done got a fogger. You're saying if you was going to use a fogger, you would go mineral spirits instead of.
Not mineral spirits, mineral oil.
Yes, that's what I meant, not mineral spirits. But mineral.
Now, if you want to boost the kill rate on mineral oil, you can add wintergreen to it or thyme oil. That
So-
gives a really good knockdown, and it's more, you can eat thyme, you can eat spearmint, you can eat peppermint. Those things will knock down mites and kill. It adds to the kill. The oil actually is to suffocate. The oils is actually going to do the kill. You take wintergreen, you can make candy out of it. It ain't going to hurt you. Take a drop of it and put it on your tongue and watch it run around the house.
Yeah. So, how much wintergreen are you talking? Drops?
If you go to a 16-ounce bottle of laxative, 20 drops to 25 drops is an adequate kill.
Okay. I mean, I don't have a mite problem. I've done a sugar shake and everything. You might have 2 on a half a cup, or something like that, maybe 3. But I've not got mite problems. I'm just don't like, don't want them to get started. And I was thinking I've got a fogger and everything.
Depends too where you live and if there's other beekeepers. I have a fella that does cutouts, and he does it for a living. So he brings anywhere from maybe 2 a day or sometimes 10 or 15 a week. So I could go through my hives today and have 5 beetles in the whole yard. Go back the next day and I could have hives that's got 10, 12 each hive because they fly.
Yeah.
If you got a beekeeper that's treatment free and don't want to do nothing and don't want to maintain them, you can pick up mites, you can pick up beetles from them.
Right. Well, I went through, I don't know, night before last, and I'm out of probably 30 boxes. I might have had, 4 or 5 beetles, which is not bad. We was down at your place last week. Me and David was, trying to see if we could find any beetles like he was always saying there, how many beetles I got in this thicket? That's what you kept saying. We kept laughing. I mean, and I'm a firm believer of, I like the way your yard's set up, and I've actually, a lot of my new boxes are going into, under trees, around trees, just keeping them out of the wide open. I've got 2 or 3 honey, colonies that I'm doing honey with. That's, of course, I've got them out in the direct sunlight, blah, blah, blah. But all my new nukes and my splits and all that stuff are going into the wooded area around the house. And
see, that's the main thing about coming down and looking through the yard, working these bees, because there's so much misinformation out there. People tell you, if you got your bees in open sun, you're going to have less beetles. If you got them under trees, you're going to be loaded with beetles. They're going to tell you all kinds of things. Here, you see for yourself.
Right. Yeah, I had a
Beetles
great.
get high, then you get bees that are a little more aggressive too.
Right. I had a great time down last week, and I was aiming on coming this week, but it didn't work out. Might be back this next week, but good to see you, and we'll let somebody else get on here.
Okay.
Over to Chris. Go ahead, Chris.
Hi, Don. I was thinking about the incubators, and they are quite expensive, the beekeeper incubators. So what about the egg incubators? Will they do the trick as well?
Well, I don't know what you think incubators are expensive. Tractor Supply is selling the one my son uses, and they're $49 or $59. Is that expensive?
No, that's not expensive.
The only thing that he bought extra, there's a little computer thing that goes in the center of it. If you buy those styrofoam incubators, it's already got an indentation there. You just take a utility knife, cut it out, you drop that high-tech stuff in there, and you can preset it. You can set the temperature exactly where you want it. You can run the humidity in there. Or you could go out and buy a $10,000 incubator. But how many hives are you running right now?
Well, only 4, but I want to make heavy.
Then you're wasting your time in an incubator, even at $49.
Yeah, no, I'm thinking in the future, thinking in the future.
Yeah.
I want to make loads and loads of splits. I got the 3 of my hives in
If-
10 frame
if
double
you-
deeps.
If you just follow the way I'm doing things on the chats and in my videos, there is no way that you can build enough boxes. Either you bought the boxes or you made them yourself to keep up with cutting cells. Because David can tell you, and any student that's been here, most of my hives run anywhere from 10 to 15 cells in each one. And when you got 100 boxes out there, which is a low number, that's 1,500.
Yeah,
I mean, how many boxes can you run a day?
I don't know.
Most beekeepers that got anywhere from 1 to 10 years, they can get up to about 50 hives running them. When you get some experience, then you can run several hundred a day. You have to learn to shave seconds on every operation you do. That's what I'm doing here, is I'm teaching students how to save time and everything. Everything is geared around time.
Yeah, how much will you charge me to come over for a course from Europe?
You need to, I'm not going to hurt your feelings, but you need to get some experience first.
Yeah.
You got to learn the basics first. Once you get the basics, then you can grasp, more advanced things. I've had students here that they can see the progression in themselves watching here. But if you want to come, unless you got enough basics, it's $100 a day or $500 for the year. And I teach commercial beekeeping, not basic. That's what I expect you. It's like if you can't ride a tricycle everybody can ride. But if you can't ride that, you want to come here the first day and ride a high performance motorcycle. It don't work that way. You got to learn to make bees and keep them alive before you can start grafting and expanding out.
Yeah.
You just be patient, practice, make mistakes. That's your best teacher right there.
And you're my best teacher now at the moment.
Well, I can give you pointers, but you have to do it.
Yeah.
That's why I do a hands-on course here. You follow me around all day, you could copy exactly what I'm doing, but you ain't learned nothing, you're not doing nothing. You can't do it. I want you to do it. I watch you and I point out what you're doing right and wrong.
Yeah, got you. Thanks, Don.
Okay.
Okay, let's see. Over to Dennis. Go ahead, Dennis.
I got a stupid question. I probably already answered you. I asked you while I was down there with you, and I don't remember the answer. So I'm thinking about taking one of my queens and my nuke and caging her, and so they'll create some cells. The question is, you're shaking your head already. So yeah, I may have my answer already. I was just thinking, if I turn the queen loose, she's going to tear them cells down, wouldn't she?
Yep.
Okay. I was just toying around with that. We're just not quite at the right temperature starting my grafting yet. And I thought, well, I had a couple of swarm cells that did work out. As a matter of fact, I sold my first queen off my whole bunch today that did hatch, did go out and breed, and come back and lay good. So, but the temperature's still varying a little bit. Thought maybe I'd cheat.
Well, there's a lot of ways you can get around it. Now, you got packages, so the packages, are you feeding them good?
Oh yeah, they're at the point now where I'll start having to split. I'm just waiting for them to start making swarm cells.
Well, then don't split them. Leave one, let it go. Just keep watching it every day.
But they're doing real good. I had a little bit of drift, and I learned a few things with it. But
that's why we do different colors, huh?
You're right. And don't put as many as I've got. I had 60 in a row. That don't help either.
Well, I don't think the numbers hurt as bad as all white hives, or all one color.
But overall, I can't complain. I did work with them in the mist because like you said, you got too many of them. You got to work.
Yeah.
I went out yesterday. It was a light mist. Didn't even smoke them. Got away with it. I wouldn't advise it to a new person, but worked good. I'm not having a bit of problems with them. They're doing real good.
Are you going to be getting more packages?
Depends. I need a few more people interested from Missouri up here to make the trip worthwhile.
If you are going to get some packages, I'll I'll give you some inside information that gets you some cells fast. You put a package in a 5-frame box, and before you install it, go to one of your strong hives, pull a frame out of the center. Make sure the queen's not out. You can leave those bees in it, and then put the queen from the package in between the frames and leave the cork in both ends. Go back in 7 days and start cutting cells.
Okay.
That's
Yeah,
another way to make cells.
Yeah.
Or feed them till they don't have no room and they'll make cells.
Now, they're very close. The majority of them are very close. And I'll probably balance them out a little bit on some of them. But no, they're doing real good. I can't complain. We just need good warm weather.
Yeah.
That would help. It's raining. I think we had close to 6 inches and hailed 3 times. And some of them must have leaked around the jar I had on them. Got a little water in a couple of them that dampened them. But overall, I can't complain.
Yeah.
Done pretty good. All righty. I was just curious. I thought I asked you, but I don't remember the answer. Now, here I got the same answer twice. Don't. All righty. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, back to Joshua. Go ahead, Joshua.
Yeah, so I had a question. My friend here has some hives, and they're all large cell bees, basically. My question was, so if we were to try and change them over to small cell foundation, how extensive is that? Can we just, slowly change the frames out?
Well, you can. I mean, you could add frames here and there, a couple here and there. I mean, I wouldn't try to change them all at one time. You can add a frame, go back in about a week, 10 days, add another frame. Just work the old ones to the outside and use them as a honey frame. And if you want to change this foundation out, I usually just take the old stuff and get stretched out or drone comb. I just set them in a robbing box and just let them clean the honey out. And then I melt it down, make new wax.
Sure. All right. And second question. So I as far as the brood builder with the essential oils, I'm just curious, when should I not feed that mixture? I realize the lemongrass isn't good sometimes for robbing and things like that, but what exactly do the spearmint and the wintergreen, what effect do they have?
Well, as the bees consume it, then they feed the baby bees, right?
Right.
And those cells that they feed that to are less likely to reproduce mites in the cell.
All right, so the mints are geared towards the mite control.
Yeah.
Sure. All right. And then my friend here has a question.
Yeah, I had a question on treating with oxalic acid. I was just wondering what temperature you do that at. Is the temperature critical or not?
Anytime the bees are flying,
okay,
I would stay at least 50 degrees, 54 degrees and up. If they're not flying in the wintertime, don't do it because you'll break the cluster or you could damage the queen.
So I heard of people doing it in the winter. Is that not recommended anymore? Or
depends where your winter is at. My winters, sometimes you can walk around in shorts.
yeah.
So you have to define where winter is.
Yeah, I heard it's supposed to be between like 50 and no, I think it was 30 and 61 or something, or 51, something like that.
To do what? Oxalic acid?
Yeah.
Where do you get the answer from?
I think it was
on the internet somewhere.
I think it was American Bee Journal that I saw it.
Yeah. I mean, just because it's in print, does that say it's a truth? I always tell people, you want to learn something, ask somebody who does it for a living. And if they're lucky, they'll give you an answer. Yeah. That's why I spend my time here trying to teach people. You don't have to spend a lot of money. Use common sense. Everything I teach here is common sense. If it don't sound reasonable, then don't do it.
Yep.
And you cannot overtreat a hive with oxalic acid.
Yeah. Well, thanks.
Okay.
Okay, over to Philip. Go ahead, Philip.
Hey, Don. How you doing?
Hey.
Can you hear me?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I had a question. The one hive, the big hive I got through the winter, I told you the last time we were on it, I rotated. I got 3 mediums and then a deep on the top. Now they're getting pretty strong and every one of them has brood all the way through it. Can I split those now? I mean, if I want to move them around and just make them individual hives, can you split and just set mediums out like that?
Ask David if you could split mediums. He has the same thing, except we all have mediums.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead, David.
Huh?
Oh yeah, you can split the mediums. It's funny, you know, they're doing a lot of talk about splits tonight because everybody's wanting to build their yard. Since
Right.
I've been at Don's, I haven't seen bees come in, but I've seen a lot of sales and people taking nukes out. And I get there once, sometimes twice a week, and every time I go, it seems like there's more bees there than it was the day before. And it never seems like they're coming in. It seems like they're going out and multiplying right before your eyes. And, you know, a lot of really strong nukes are, you know, people are coming and they're going through them and picking them up. And I'll come back the next day and I'll have a whole nother row in the backyard. So, oh yeah, you can split them, or he can split them. If you pay attention to what he's doing, you can too.
Oh, I've been paying attention for a while. I like to ask because I got, like I said, there's 3 mediums and a deep, and they all have brood on 3 or 4 frames each of those boxes. And
You can run deep boxes and you can run medium boxes.
okay,
In your new.
Don will have medium boxes on top of the deep boxes.
Yep.
yep.
And then split them out from there.
Yep.
Yeah, my deep's on top because I just rotated them after winter. So now they're all moving back up through, starting at the bottom. So that's why I want to get 3 bottom boards and take those 3 mediums and split those mediums and then start that deep all by itself again. So now I'll have 4. That's kind of what I want to do.
No, you don't have 4. You said you had 3 boxes.
Yeah, I had 3 mediums, 3
That's
mediums, and a
24 splits.
huh?
24 splits.
Yeah, with you.
What? You can do it.
Yeah, like I'm already behind the boxes, like you said. I didn't build boxes fast enough.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't put a limit on what you can do. You can make it.
Yeah, and I just put a nuke in day before yesterday, so I really want to split those 3 mediums and deep a lot more than 4, but I'm gonna try it.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, Don.
Mm-hmm.
All right, over to Virgil. Go ahead, guys.
Are we on here?
Yes, you are.
Yeah, Don, a little while ago you said if you had 2 10-frame boxes, you'd turn it into, what was it, 24 splits? 19
No,
splits?
he said he had 3 boxes high. I'm assuming that he has 10 frame. Most people are reluctant to give their 10 frame up. So if you got 2 boxes high or 3 box, you got 10 frame. So he's got at least 19 splits there. At least.
Okay, that's what you said earlier, and I wondered, how are you going to split that 19 times when you got 1 queen and, I mean...
You got to have queen cells. Queen cells or let them make them. I don't have the patience to let them make them, so I usually have queen cells. David took a hive that was in the back. We split that hive, well, David split it, made 12 nukes. A week later, I sold 5 of them as nukes. Well, it was full of bees and laying queens.
So I've just got to take the boxes that I've got to, like, focus and just feed the heck out of them and keep them as crowded as we can get them and let them just keep making cells, and then...
As soon as you got cells, start cutting. Every time you got a cell, that's another nuke.
Okay.
And you don't... One thing that most people do not understand, they come here and they work these boxes and they get floored because all my 5-frame boxes got 2 and 3 frames. They only get 5 frames and they get ready to go out the door. You put 5 frames in there, it's going to slow you down. It's going to slow you down 30 seconds.
You're only putting 2 or 3 frames in a nuke box?
Ask David. He's been here. Ask anybody that's been here.
What about, are they going to fill that empty space, or you're just working them enough that they don't get to?
You're going to work those boxes enough.
Okay.
If you got comb, in fact, I think David seen one, and we didn't get back the next day. They had 6 inches of comb drawn overnight in 24 hours. And
That's the one that Don was licking, I think, in one of those photos.
actually, that one had about, what, 8 or 10 inches hanging on it, and it was almost as long as the box.
So would it be actually better, Don, to use mediums rather than deeps then, if like nukes that are medium deep?
Well, it depends what your end goal is.
Making a lot of bees?
Yeah, you'd make bees, but are you worrying about selling customers deeps or mediums?
I'm not worried about selling anything yet. I want to get up to where I know I've got, like next year maybe sell.
How many hives you got right now?
10.
10. That's at least 150.
Okay.
Now, are you feeding them sugar?
Yep.
How much sugar are you putting on those bees?
Well, I don't know. I'm just keeping them filled. I've got the hive top feeders like you had.
And you're mixing up sugar.
Yeah.
My sugar is pre-mixed so thick
I know.
it barely comes out of the tote. I think David was over filling some things. And even on a hot day, you can't fill up a 1-gallon bucket in a minute. It's going to take a little bit. It comes out better than 4 to 1 or 5 to 1. A tote is, well, a 5-gallon bucket of that syrup out there is equal to a little over 100 pounds of sugar. But it's pre-mixed, saves you time.
Right. I've got to get to that point. I know, because last year, you weren't doing that last year, were you?
Well, I was trying to save more money this year, more time.
Right. So you just
I was buying sugar, but spending more time mixing it instead of spending the time in the bee yard teaching.
You just move too fast for us old people. I got to catch up to where you're at now. Every time I think I've got something down that you've done, you've changed, and I'm still back here. But I mean, we got up to the 10 because of you. But now my goal is to build up and get a few good, strong hives that I can keep splitting and splitting and splitting.
Then build a bunch of 5-frame boxes, put a small hole in them, put one frame in there, and put a cell in there.
Just one frame, good enough?
That's all you need, a frame of honey.
And how fast do I need to keep watching that? I mean, is it daily or is it every 2 days?
Daily? I think E could probably tell you how many times he looked at one box in a day.
Oh.
Yeah, you got to check them constantly if you're going to try to crowd them and make queen cells, because yeah, they will fill up the box if you don't have all your frames in there. But they are building and growing and laying eggs like crazy still.
So it's possible they'd build the queen cell and cap it in a day?
Not cap it, but they'll start drawing it out, sure, once they get crowded enough.
Okay, well, we'll give it a shot here. Thanks.
Okay, over to Josh Moore. Go ahead, Josh.
This is kind of back to what Philip was asking Don, but talking about splitting. This is, Don, I know, and David both's going to laugh when I say this. We were at Don's last week, and a guy came and picked up a nuke. And I promise, I made a video, and Don remembers this. I made a video 10 minutes after that guy left with the same nuke box that the guy bought the bees out of. When you go to Don's and buy nukes, you, of course, like most places, you don't get the nuke box that they're, he gives you the 5 frames, puts them in your nuke box. Within 10 minutes after that guy left, we walked back over there and made a video of 2 frames slapped full of bees. And Don said within 3 to 4 days, that nuke right there will be ready to go out of the yard. That's how quick you can make bees. And the key to it, and Don might not want me saying this, but the key to it is tell them, Don, sell between what time?
1 o'clock and 5.
There you go. There's where the other 2 frames of bees came back. When the guy left, all the forged bees came back. Bam, you've got 2 frames of bees just piled full. They come back. They make that quick. Y'all need to go down to Don's. I mean, it's something. He can sit here and talk with his blue in the face, but until you spent time with Don, it's just amazing. Thanks, guys.
Josh, if it took him 10 minutes to get those frames over there, he must not have been feeling good, because he was moving frames before the cars even pull out half the time we were there.
Well, the thing about it, Elijah, he can tell you the reason that probably took 10 minutes is because me and David was moving them and letting him.
Oh, there you go. He's quick. He's got a system going great there.
He does.
All right, over to Ernest. Go ahead, Ernest.
Yeah, Don, you were talking about bees had a mind of their own.
Mm-hmm.
I had a small a cluster of bees on the side of one of my hives, and I just went through it, and I said, see if there's a queen in there. And sure enough, it was. I said, well, she's been out flying, so she's mated. So I marked her, and I put her in that hive. And a few days later, I was in my pole barn and observing the observational hive. And I said, there's a queen that's marked. My queen's not marked in here. So she went out of that hive and went over in the other one. And then this other hive hasn't been doing anything. There wasn't no queen, and I was getting tired fooling with it. So now today, they're working like they got a queen. So I'm anxious to take a look in there and see if she hasn't went back to that hive.
You might have an extra virgin come back.
Maybe, I don't know. But I'm anxious to see if there's a queen in there that's marked. Because that's the only one I marked this year, this year's color, you know.
Yeah. Why are you marking? You got people asking for it?
Yeah, I get more money for it. I learned that from you. Yeah, they're easy to mark. There's no problem there. But the guy was talking about small cell bees. Well, my son has regular bees. Well, I made a deal with him. I said, you take care of my firewood, and I'll take care of your bees, because he's so busy working, he never takes care of them. So bees that hasn't been worked is a little more angry than the other bees. Plus, they're big bees. And I got a sting over there, and man, it hurt. But the small cell bees, you know, I just rub them off, and, you know, I just go on in just a few minutes. I don't even know what I've been stung.
Yeah.
So there's a big difference in the size of the bees when you get stung. They got more venom or whatever it is to pump out. So that's one thing I like the small cell, and they're more calm. But I looked in one of my hive, and I've definitely got a hive to graft from, because they got wall to wall.
That's the one you want to graft from.
Every frame in there is wall to wall.
You can sell that queen as a breeder queen now.
I don't want to sell her. I want to keep her. Yeah, she's doing a good job for me. So, another thing, I did an experiment. I got some of that ceremony strip, just in case I have a hive, you know, I don't have a queen to put in it.
Mm-hmm.
And I cut off about a 3/4 inch of it, and I put a frame of honey and a starter strip in, and I put a queen cell in, and I put this strip over top of it. And I first had it in front of the hive, and there was all kinds of bees there. There was a pound or two of bees. So then I put it inside, and they were keeping it warm. So maybe I've figured out a way to have an artificial swarm without doing anything.
That's good when you do something cheap, free.
Yeah. I mean, you just get free bees. I'm thinking about doing it up there at John's next to the fence and getting his bees. Just kidding, John. That's all I have.
Okay.
Okay. Joshua, go ahead.
Yeah. This spring we were trying to start some new hives. So we tried your method, Don. You said put a couple of bees or so in a queen cell.
You are starting a hive, or are you making hives?
Starting. Yeah.
If you're starting, the best thing you have to do is you got to get enough stocks. You're going to have to buy packages or get a nuke, then start from there.
Yeah, well, we have some hives started, but just trying to multiply hives.
First, crowd them. Get them crowded so they make cells, then go from there.
Uh-huh. Yeah, we had some started, but the queens seemed like they weren't getting mated, or they weren't.
Are you getting queen cells that hatch?
Yeah.
Well, then you got a lot of predators in your area. You got a lot of dragonflies and birds and things getting them.
Uh-huh.
As long as they're hatching, that's all you can do. You can't hold their hand when they go out and mate. They fly around, and sometimes they don't come back.
Yeah, I was wondering if it had something to do with how many bees were in the.
It has nothing to do with it.
Okay.
If the cell is sealed, and it's going to hatch. And you got enough bees to keep it warm or keep it cool, whatever the case is. Once the bee flies out, it gathers more bees. You only need a half a cup of bees to fly out and mate. They'll bring back more. But if it's an inferior queen when you got it mated or bred or sealed, then you're not going to have a good queen. If you have a weak hive, if you're not feeding them enough and they don't have enough nutrition, it's like putting you on a starvation diet and asking you to go on a road trip. You know, that's why to produce good queens, you have to feed well and have enough pollen coming in.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Looks like last question of the night is Chris. Go ahead, Chris.
Right. When I heard the Virgil speaking, I just completely got lost with all the splitting thing. So when you make a split, so you can use just a frame of honey, and you don't put any foundation then in a new box in at all?
Well, you can use starter strips.
Yeah.
You don't even have to have starter strips if you have enough bees. A frame of honey and a queen cell and some bees. They'll draw. They don't have foundation in trees. But most people not feeding them enough.
So you don't put the starters in for the full nuke box, or you do when you make a split?
Yeah, you can. Mm-hmm.
Okay. But if I put the foundation in, let's say, a frame of honey and then 4 frames of foundation, so that will slow them down?
Well, if you put foundation in a starter strip, you got to have enough bees to draw it out. A cup of bees is not going to draw it out.
No. So, but I'm just trying to understand which is faster for them, for the bees, more encouraging when there is a more foundation than starters.
If you have full sheets of foundation in there, yeah, they're going to draw it out if you got a honey flow or if you're feeding them.
Yeah. So that would be more advantageous, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Don.
Okay.
I guess we have one more. Josh Moore, go ahead.
Hey, Don, got one last question for you. This is kind of those plugs you had on top of those buckets. I talked to Stephen the other day, actually, he takes back and forth. I'm having problems getting those things. I got a hold of the company that he was trying to get them from, but I don't know if I'm be able to get them over here or not. You wouldn't happen to have you shift or anything, do you?
You can talk to Steve, and he buys them. I don't. He buys them. I don't know if he buys 500 at a time or whatever the minimum order is.
Yeah. Okay. Because like I said, I texted him and I didn't know if you had a bunch extra that you sold through your store or not.
He drilled the holes and then he put the caps in there. And I think he said it was 10 or 11 cents a piece.
Yeah, they are 10 or 11 cents a piece, but I checked them.
Yeah.
I was going to order 500 of them just to have, or actually I was going to order 100 of them. Yeah. And they were about 10 cents a piece, but you're looking at about, that's before shipping, but when you get shipping on them, you're talking $1 a piece almost.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. That's just last question I had.
Okay.
Thanks for your time. Had a good time tonight.
Okay. And that'll do it for tonight. Thank you, Don. Thank you, everyone.
Appreciate everybody showing up. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
And if you guys want to stick around for the after chat, please do.